Notice of this meeting was advertised in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chairs. They're just, I mean, my pocketbook is back.
Sunshine, roll call, please.
Mr. Tompkins?
Here.
Ms. Jackson? Present. Ms. Trueblood?
Present.
Mr. Cartier?
Present.
Mr. Allen?
Present. This meeting is now called to order. Closed session resolution number 78-2016. This authorizes council to go into closed session. As far as I understand, we have no closed session this evening. There are no items. I would ask administration, but they're not out here, or Dave's not out here at the moment.
You want me to check?
He didn't mention anything earlier. Do you have anything?
I have nothing, Council President.
Okay.
Jason.
Okay.
Jason, if you want, I'll go ask her a report. Better safe than sorry.
Sunshine said she spoke to him about it, and there is nothing. Thank you.
I do.
Okay.
Sorry, this would probably be a good time to speak about this, but a contract concerning towing.
Concerning?
Towing.
Oh. Andy, what would contract negotiations
Yes.
or contracts?
Yep. Well, it actually would come under attorney-client advice, I believe.
Yes.
Councilman Cartier is actually asking about the existing towing contract, not the ones that's on the agenda for award. So that would be under attorney-client advice.
Okay. Okay, so is there a motion to approve closed session resolution number 78-2016, which would allow council to go into closed session for attorney-client advice?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sunshine, please poll the council.
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. At this time, council will now go into closed session, and we will return at approximately 7 p.m.
Probably so.
We are back. There is formal action necessary pursuant to closed session. If you're following the agenda, council will be holding over a resolution number 83-2016, 84-2016, and 85-2016. All of these resolutions deal with contracts for towing. We're removing these from the agenda tonight because council is requesting a more detailed inspection report from the department head that inspects the facilities. Public comments? Ms. Quinn? And then Mr. Pelletier.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I've been absent for a while, so I have a couple of comments and possibly one question. I wasn't able to make the workshop when it came to the proposed 2016 budget. What bothers me the most about this budget is our taxes are again going up with, in my view, little or no return on the taxpayer dollars. The thing that bothers me too is, in listening to the previous meetings, our police force is down to 39, 40 officers at the present moment. Now, Pemberton Township is has a population, at least at the last census, of 28,000 people. But 39 officers or 40 officers or even 45 officers according to the budget is not an adequate police force to patrol the town and do what it needs to do. The fact that there isn't any kind of indication in the budget that we're going to be hiring additional police officers is beyond me. Now, I know about the civil service. It was talked about at the last meeting, the meetings I were here, but I don't understand why we're not hiring more police officers. I think that that needs to be one of the priorities for this budget. We're all paying higher taxes. We do not have an economic base in this town because the taxes are coming off the taxpayers. We haven't had economic growth in quite some time. I would urge the council to rethink this budget and not just continue upping taxes for the sake of projects that the administration may or may not want. The other thing that I see on this budget is in capital improvement projects, there is a $50,000 entry. There is nothing in this budget to say that we're going to be bonding any more money. But the $50,000 in there is what is usually earmarked that if they want to borrow money, they can. I'd like to know from the council if this is a standard practice that you put $50,000 in this category just so it's there to borrow money, or why do we have $50,000 in there for this capital with?
In case we need to bond.
I noticed too on the budget we spent by the number $300,000 in overtime for the police department. That's a lot of money. We need to get more officers on the street. You know, it's fine to do capital improvement projects that may need to be done, but the safety of this town and its residents also should be on the forefront. And from what I've seen and what I've heard, I don't like what I've seen or heard. I think you as council, everybody has to start working together, and all I see is my taxes going up and ordinances being passed to borrow money with little or no explanation to the public. The other comment that I have is with respect to tonight's agenda. Can somebody explain what 79-2016 is, where it says final improvement of farmland application?
79-2016, you said?
Yep, first one under the consent agenda.
The Burlington County Agricultural Department Board would like to preserve two of the farms that are mentioned on the resolution. Block 794, Lot 7, as well as Block 794, Lot 9. And
So is this the open space thing that the county does?
Farmland preservation.
Farmland.
Similar.
It's through the Farmland Preservation Easement Program.
Okay.
And actually, Ms. Quinn, they normally make us pay, I forget, 20% of what the cost of this is, and this time they're actually waiving it because they really want to preserve this farm.
Okay.
So this is actually a very good
Everyone that I've
thing.
ever voted on, they've waived.
I'm sorry?
Actually, everyone I've ever voted on, they've waived.
Okay. This is my first one.
Can somebody tell me what the property is that's in conjunction with the ordinance for introduction? 6-2016. It's the property that's described as Block 182, Lot 15. It's being acquired by a gift.
It was bequested to the township,
Oh, through someone's estate. Okay.
but the township can only, well, to accept land or to give land or whatever, you need to do it by ordinance.
I understand. All I saw was a block and a lot,
Yeah.
and town has purchased properties.
No, it's being gifted for zero.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
No, I understand what a gift is. I was just
Yeah.
curious.
that,
what-
the property location is on Shawmut Street,
Okay?
and that's off of Hanover Boulevard.
Okay. (80-2016), something about groundwater remediation investigations at the township fuel facility. Are you talking right behind the building over here, or is there another facility?
Right behind the...
Okay. We have some kind of an issue going on?
Well, there was, before they rebuilt it.
Which one is that one?
It's for mediation. There's a remediation process. Anytime you find underground storage tanks, you have to sample the soil to ensure that there's no contamination.
Okay. Well, Mr. Cartier said there was, so how long has this been going on? Because this is the first that I'm seeing this.
Actually, we were told about this when they started rebuilding the fuel facility.
Okay. So how long ago was that?
Before I left council last time, so... Actually, the fuel facility was completed before I left council, right? So, yeah. It's been quite some years.
So how is it that you're doing a groundwater remediation and investigation? Because now we think
Because
there's...
DEP requires
They
them
require
to
it.
continually test the groundwater to ensure that it is clearing up.
Okay. The way that's presented, I'm looking at saying, okay, now we got a problem. I don't remember hearing or seeing before about it being tested.
And sometimes when you all don't receive the same package of information that council received, so although you're looking at the agenda and you see the title, council received a more detailed background information on the topic, which I'm sure everyone reviewed.
And I actually had some of the similar questions and came in and talked to the mayor. Dave, when did I come in? Yesterday? And he answered some of the same questions that you had. I had the same thing.
And Dave, thanks for answering my questions on Monday also.
And my final comment is a question to the administration, I guess. On the budget, one of the sheets, it's a user-friendly part of the budget. The township bond rating stands at BAA1, which, from what I can understand and read on Moody's website, isn't a very good rating. Has there been any discussion or thought from the council or the administration on how we can better this so we can build an economic base in the town? Because the more your bond rating goes down, the harder it's going to get, and it's going to cost us more in the end.
Well, I think someone asked a similar question at the budget workshop that we had.
Right.
And Dave did respond. Sunshine's taking notes, so she'll document the question, and we'll see if administration can get something in writing.
Please don't pass this budget. We can't keep raising taxes with nothing, no payout in the end. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Pelletier?
Good evening, Bob Pelletier, Pemberton. Mr. President, I was here for a meeting in March, and there was had some discussions over the noise ordinance, and there was one thing that I left out, and I had it in my notes here as I highlighted, marked it up in pen so I wouldn't miss it, and I missed it. And it has to do with, I didn't see it in the ordinance, and it has to do with engine break-in, or as commonly known for a lot of people, Jake break-in. That's something that seems to be getting more and more noticeable in the township, and I see it in Brown's Mills. I live on North Pemberton Road, and we hear it all night and day. And normally it's usually owner-operator type rigs, tractor trailers, flatbeds, large dump trucks and stuff. And if you know anything about the Jake break-in, I think it has to do with Jacob, somebody that invented this system, and they sell these systems for slowing down big trucks and stuff like that. And what it does is it lessens the use of your friction brakes. You know, there are big brakes on these rigs, and they're very expensive to maintain and costly. But
Sounds like a dance move.
pardon?
It sounds like a dance move.
No.
Jay breaking.
Yeah, good point. Hadn't thought of that. But I think there needs to be regulation included in here. If not, I noticed up on County Route 543 going through Mansfield, there is a sign posted on that route there, and it's by the order of the police that they prohibit jake breaking. And I thought that was kind of strange that the police department would do that. I would think that'd be a function of the town government administration, along with council or committee. So I'd like to have you take a look at that. We really need it, and I think if you ask some of the people around here, I think they will agree. And in fact, I'm sure I could go ask my neighbors up there to sign a petition. I could tender that in. It's really not needed so much here. It's needed in an emergency, of course, but it's really not needed because if you have steep inclines and stuff, you need to have it, and it's for safety. But a lot of newer vehicles, like you see large fleets out there, I think after 1990 they have these systems built in, and the sound is muted, so you don't hear it. But I hear it all the time, and a couple of my neighbors have complained about it, but I said I'd come down here and talk about it. In fact, I did a few years ago. I had a gentleman up on the other end of the street. He came down, but he couldn't stay for the public comments portion, so he didn't get a chance to mention it along with me. So I'd like to see that taken under study and look into it. And I read through the ordinance, and it's not included in there. It does mention mufflers, but these engine brakes I think are outside that, although I'm not entirely sure. So I'd like to see that.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I live over by Magnolia Road and Bypass, and I hear it all the time.
Sure, when you come into an intersection or a stop sign or a traffic light, you're going to hear it. And I understand why they do it, but I don't think it needs to be done all hours of the day and night. And my second question is, when I was here last month, it was about there was a survey crew out there in front of my house there for a sewer easement, and I got nowhere on that, and I come in here, and I think the last comment by you, Mr. President, was that check with the planning board. Well, after I sat down, I realized, well, there's a member of council on that planning board. I should have asked them, or I forget now. Is it Miss Trueblood or Miss Jackson or something? Yeah. Do you know anything about
No, I haven't.
sewer easement?
We'll be meeting tomorrow.
I did see that on the website there. Okay, I might make a point to come out. And I wanted to make one last comment. It's about your consent agenda, about authorizing a contract for the towing services. And I remember when this ordinance came up a few years ago, and I just didn't see a need for a towing ordinance. And this, does it really need to be regulated? I mean, towing businesses, I mean, they're all subject to the Uniform Commercial Code. I think that's acceptable. Anybody out there that has a licensed, insured rig should be in the business of towing if he or her has a vehicle and they can do it. I don't think they have to come in here and get signed forms and get a contract with the town. I just think it's an overreach of government. But that's my personal opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pelletier. Seeing no other public comments, Consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the Township Council and will be enacted by one motion. Should a council member wish to discuss a consent agenda item separately, that item can be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the regular agenda. Council, are there any resolutions that you would like to be pulled?
Yes, Council President, I'd like to pull 80-2016.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Are there any others?
90 and 93, please. Also on the bill list, page 8, Fire Department.
I know it's the first time I'm gonna have anything pulled.
I'm shocked.
It's a good night.
Yes.
Okay. Council, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Sunshine, please poll the council.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. 80-2016, Ms. Jackson, thank you for pulling that. I requested that she pull that because the reports will be submitted to my employer, the Department of Environmental Protection, Site Remediation Group, so I will be abstaining from that vote. Sunshine, you could poll the council.
Well, there was no motion.
Oh, is there a motion to approve resolution number 80-2016?
I motion to... I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mama. I motion to approve 80-2016.
I'll second.
Sunshine, please poll the council.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Abstain. Resolution number 90-2016. Ken, you requested that be pulled.
Yes, I had some questions that the mayor and I were going through, but we ran out of time and we never finished talking about this.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. So is there something wrong with our current paver?
No, our plan this year is to do 2 larger roads along with all the other roads that we're doing, and to try and save time and get it done and be more efficient, we've determined that it would be actually cheaper for us to rent a larger paver to do those 2 larger roads and get done quicker than to use our current system and spend more time on it, and which would ultimately cost more money than it would to pave the rent the paver. The 2 roads in question, just to give you a visual, are Hunter Boulevard, as you know, that's a very long road, and Ridgeview Avenue. Both are very large projects that with the larger paver we could get done. Ridgeview's the one from Lakehurst to Junction to come through, and those roads are quite long, and we could get that done quicker and be off of that job and on to the next road, which, you know, our paver is quite adequate for, and we find that to be more efficient to proceed with the program. Or we could spend, you know, more weeks on the longer roads and get less done, and end up, you know, getting less done for the same amount of money, because we're still going to spend the same, at the end of the day, we're going to spend the same amount of money to do the project, this year's project. That's the reason for renting, and we rent equipment throughout the year for different projects, including paving. When there's a roller, last year we rented rollers, even though we have rollers, because we needed a different type for a specific application. So this is a specific application, and there's nothing. Our pavers, it's already been paving. It's paving now. They're on Bellevue, I believe, working. and it'll hopefully continue to pave throughout this year.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure there was nothing wrong with the
No,
current one.
no, ours is working fine. It's more than adequate for, I'd say 95% or more of all the jobs that we handle.
Okay.
Dave, you mentioned the larger roads. Do you care to give those names?
You just did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry when I was talking to
Hunter
Andy.
Boulevard and Ridgeview Avenue, they're on the list for this year.
Okay.
All right, that was my only concern.
Is there a motion to approve resolution number 90-2016?
I motion to approve Resolution 90, 2016.
Is there a second?
Second, sorry.
Sunshine?
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Allen?
Yes. Resolution number 93-2016, authorizing a contract with J&J Staffing. Ken?
All right, and then this one, Mayor, you and I did discuss a little bit back there, and that was the using of funds for Clean Communities grant that we do not have yet. How can we anticipate something that we do not have eventually?
Well, obviously, we couldn't contract. This just authorizes the contract. It doesn't allow us to contract until we actually get the funding. We have that funding in place.
Okay, and then if the funding never comes through, we're not going to follow through with this contract?
Well, we wouldn't be able to because there wouldn't be a funding source available to charge it to.
Okay, let me follow up. Do you have a backup plan to this then? Because this involves leaf pickup.
Absolutely. It would require us to reorganize our operation later on in the year, and what we're hoping to do with this early in the year is to supplement potential, if any, loss of personnel that may affect our paving operation, where we can call somebody in earlier. Generally, you see this later in the year. This resolution's been coming annually, and we do it later in the year, specifically for leaf pickup. But we thought about it and said, well, if we have an issue with, we're trying to stay on schedule, and we have a guy that goes out with an injury, we may need a laborer. So where would we charge? Where would we get? We don't want to hire a temporary or we don't want to hire a part-time employee or somebody. Just hire someone and then lay them off, because then we're obligated to any injuries they may have or unemployment. So for these short-term usages, we find that hiring a temp service works better because, number one, we're not obligated for any of their workman's comp issues or health benefits or so forth. And when we do stop the service, we don't have to pay unemployment to the individual. So it works in those conditions, and we thought if it came up to where we needed it, we should have a safeguard in place to be able to turn to if we needed somebody to continue our operations. But primarily this contract is used for our leaf pickup in the fall. And if we weren't able to, if for some reason, which I don't know why it would, the Clean Communities money is generally there because it comes from our recycling program, and we're very good at our recycling, as it has been for years, and the money continues to come. If hypothetically that didn't happen and we had to not or do this in-house, we would make the adjustments and provide that annual service that we do to the residents in-house with our DPW as we have in the past.
So basically, this resolution would allow us to use the staffing agency for the entire year and for various projects, as opposed to just our seasonal leaf pickup.
Well, if it came up under certain circumstances, but we wouldn't just generally start off and start bringing these people in and start using them, because it's, as you see, it's limited funds,
right,
which generally is close to what we need for leaf pickup. What we found in previous years, we had a small amount left to where we were able to keep these individuals on longer and run around and do a second pass for individuals that had maybe put their leaves out after the scheduled pickup, and we were able to get out and go back and clean up some of the neighborhoods. There still has to be caution as to when you use this contract.
Right.
We're not looking to just, okay, you approve it, we get the funds, and we start bringing people in, and now we have all these extra employees that are now temporary employees, because that's not the intent here. We wouldn't be doing that.
You did say one thing that drew a question to me. I understand the leaf thing. We've been doing it for a while, and I understand why we've been doing it. But you did mention if we have a worker that goes out on workman comp or whatever, we can backfill them with one of these folks temporarily. I guess my question is, are we going to have any union issues or anything like that using a staffing employee to fill that position?
We haven't had any in the last 3 or 4 years that we've been using them so far as laborers.
Okay.
I don't believe there's a union issue with doing it the way we're doing it, because it is a temporary.
With the leaves and stuff, I understand that's a specific thing, but
Regardless of what we use them for, it's a title. You know, we'll bring a laborer in, we'll bring a truck driver in. It's a temp position. It doesn't matter what we use them for, and I don't believe it's a violation of our union contracts.
okay.
So it's actually we're being proactive on this. That's
Pretty
how I
much.
look at it, yeah.
That's all my questions.
Okay. Any more questions, council? Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
I second motion.
Sunshine?
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Other resolutions, resolution number 97-2016 authorizes the 2016 municipal budget to be read by title only. Council, this resolution is basically showing that the township did all the proper and required advertising and posting of the 2016 municipal budget. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
Second.
Sunshine?
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. 66A-2016 adopts the 2016 municipal budget, which has already been received from the state. This portion of the meeting is now open to the public
For discussion on the budget.
for discussion of the budget. Seeing no hands, this portion of the meeting is now closed to the public. Council, is there any further? A motion to discuss?
No.
We need this council discussion.
Yeah.
Council, is there any discussion on this 66A-2016?
I'm still not happy with it, but I think I've already voiced all my concerns.
Is there a motion
I motion to
to
approve.
adopt?
I motion to adopt. 66A.
Second.
Sunshine?
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Tompkins?
No.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Ordinances for introduction. Ordinance number 6-2016 authorizes the acquisition by gift of the property designated as Block 182, Lot 15, formerly Block 182, Lots 15 and 16, on the official tax map of the Township of Pemberton, County of Burlington, New Jersey. Council, do we have any comments?
No.
Is there a motion?
I move to introduce ordinance number 6-2016 with public hearing to be held on
April 20th.
April 20th.
I second.
Sunshine?
Mr. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Ordinance number 7-2016, an ordinance of the Township of Pemberton authorizing the township to convey a deed of bridge maintenance easement and a deed of road widening easements to the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Burlington for the property designation on the tax map of Pemberton Township as Block 812, Lot 16.01. Council, are there any comments?
Where exactly is this bridge?
Well,
It's actually, we wouldn't call it a bridge. You know, most of us sitting here, it's a pipe underneath of the access easement going into the parking lot of the Nesbitt Center, where we put the new parking lot on, and we had the 2 retention ponds and on each side, and there's a pipe that goes through. Well, there's open air underneath, and it becomes a pipe, and it's my understanding the county maintains all bridges in Burlington County, and I'll say again, as I've said here before, except one, and that's our bridge on Choctaw, which we're still working to get that fixed, because I don't understand why we maintain Choctaw, but every other bridge the county's responsible for, and this is, I guess, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, this is technically a bridged area, it's a bridged gap, and they're responsible, and it's in their easement, so.
It's a circular pipe?
Essentially, yeah. And I think what happens is, too, is that the easement form that they use is an access easement and a bridge maintenance easement document that they do. So I think really the title of it is somewhat misleading, but it's not a bridge as you and I would, picture driving over a structure elevated over a stream or something.
I mean, I've surveyed these for more than 20 years. I understand what it is. It doesn't make sense to me.
When I saw it, I had to go back and look at the form, and it's titled that way, and I think that's really how they refer to it. So, but it's really not a bridge.
Okay.
Good. And for the second portion of it, the deeding of the road widening easements, that's pretty much that the county wants to see the deed, just in case they want to do some road widening.
That's correct, and it's typical with any time there's a property developed. The county would always look to take any property for a roadway right-of-way expansion in the future. So it's typical for any application that goes before the county that they ask for dedications of property so they can go ahead and widen those roads when it becomes time. As far as I know, there are no plans to widen that road at this moment.
So that would be when and if. Council, is there a motion to introduce ordinance number 7-2016?
I move to introduce ordinance 7-2016.
I'll second.
Sunshine?
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Fortier?
Yes.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. New business C.
Sorry, is there going to be a hearing on that one, Jason, or not?
What?
The last one.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry.
April 20th.
Did we mention the public hearing? Did somebody do that?
No, sorry.
So that would be for public hearing on April 20th. Good catch, Jeff.
Fire tonight.
No questions?
They're coming.
Leave them be.
New business C. New Jersey State Firemen's Association membership application for John Newborn Jr., Jeffrey P. Dean, Christopher S. Finger, Judy L. Brown with the Pemberton Township Volunteer Fire Company. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve those names.
I
Is there a
second the
second?
motion.
Sunshine?
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Trueblood?
Yes.
Mr. Fortier?
Abstain.
Mr. Tompkins?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Discussion of resident requests to allow the keeping of chickens in residential zones. Council, our current ordinance permits chickens on properties over 1 acre, but not in residential areas, which is what the young lady that appeared before us a few meetings ago mentioned.
Liliana.
Yes, Liliana. We received some information from some emails from the clerk and information to sort of help our thoughts on if we would like any changes to the ordinance. So, any discussion?
If I can, I'll start on this, Jason. I'll break the ice on it. I was kind of on the wire or on the fence. A few years ago, I had a neighbor that had 4 chickens, and they kept them cooped up, and I found them in my yard, and my black lab really enjoyed playing with them, and it concerned me a little bit. They got rid of the chickens shortly after my dog kept playing with their chickens, but I've been hearing a lot of things with the residents, and it seems like even though we have the ordinance that says you can't have these birds in your property that's less than an acre, it seems to be happening quite a bit in the township. So it seems like we have an ordinance or a rule that really has no teeth and isn't being enforced a lot anyway. My initial thought is if it was limited to like maybe 4 animals and have them registered like we register some of our other pets, and it's controlled with inspections by code enforcement, I might not necessarily have a problem with it. But I have to agree with the young lady's request that no roosters, because I'm understanding they are pretty loud. And I'm not a farmer, so forgive me. But initially I'm thinking if they're caged all the time and they're maintained and they're registered with the township, and I'm thinking like I register my dog every year for $11. If you have a chicken coop, like a $5 a year registration for the coop, I wouldn't probably see a problem with that.
I guess we can look at the other end of that
And
with...
what would that $5 registration cover? Like
An inspection.
Dog licensing goes towards rabies vaccinations.
Okay. It would probably go to code enforcement for inspecting the facility annually to make sure it's kept up clean and not needing to repair. You know, I'm kind of going off the hip here, Ken. I'm just thinking out loud. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to brainstorm with you, Jack.
Well, honestly, I'm okay with how the ordinance is currently written. My experience with farm animals, my undergraduate degree is in agriculture business. I've handled chickens, pigs, sheep, and on campus, and handling those farm animals. Their housing wasn't smack in the middle of campus. It was on the other end in a field, and I think it was designed that way for a reason. I think with farm animals, you do need some land. In reading what we provided in the ordinance, I think an acre is sufficient. I mean, you have to take into consideration for things such as noise, smell, but that's just my opinion. I do like the fact that Liliana, when she came before us, it was very well thought out what she presented us with. She spoke very articulate, very good points, gave me something to think about, and I applaud her for having the courage to stand before us and give us those positives. But I do think there are some cons. If we were to alter this ordinance, I think the way the ordinance currently is read is designed that way for a reason. I think there was thought put into the folks that presented that ordinance at the time. That's just my opinion.
Well, we excuse me, we received an email from a resident as well, and there
You.
a few, yes. But one of them I'm looking at in particular, their concern was they feel like allowing chickens would increase the population of coyotes and stuff in a residential area, using as prey to the chicken. Like these gentlemen, I don't raise chickens, so I don't know. And the other concern the resident had was if the neighbor gets in over my fence and her dog gets it, who would be responsible, which I think is another thing that we would have to consider as well. I did read a lot and learned a lot about chickens besides the basic things we know. So I do thank Liliana for that, but she did do so good, but we have to look at the bigger picture. I have to look at the bigger picture. I think Jack's suggestion could present a problem on the other side of the fence because of dogs. You know, we have the dogs, we have ordinance for dogs, the dogs have licenses, they get out, they get away, they don't follow, you know, all the rules and everything. Could be the same things for the chickens. Then what will we do? I know.
If they're registered, at least they can be inspected and made sure the coops are securable and stuff like that. You know, I know my situation, my neighbor used to let them out to free range, get the bugs and whatever, and they were, I'm sorry, when they let them out, they were a nuisance. They were a big pain. But if they're kept in a coop and maintained, that would be a different story, I believe.
I heard something stink. Did someone? No.
Well,
They smell good on the grill, though, I'll tell you that.
yeah, that's different. Well, I know, what I've seen also is, I know where I'm at, there's a lot of, those, I don't know what they call them. What were they?
Guinea hens? Maybe?
No, the buzzards. They're turkey
Oh,
buzzards.
the turkey poultry.
And they swarm above my roof constantly. And I saw them come down and pick up a squirrel. And ever since then, I don't let my little dog out there at all, nothing. And that would probably create something like that. But I believe the ordinance is set for a reason, and I would like to keep it the way it is.
I'm thinking I'm getting outvoted here.
Council, is there any more, any other discussion on the ordinance, or, you know, maybe think about it a little bit longer, or at the end of the discussion?
Well, I don't know if we should prolong the young lady, you know, keep waiting for a
Jason.
decision.
Jason, I know we normally don't do this, but I'd like to consider a little latitude tonight since there's so many people out here and it seems to be something that a lot of people are concerned. I looked out and I saw hands start to go up.
Okay.
And I know we normally only have one public comment, but this does seem to be a topic people want to address. Could we maybe open up the floor for some comments from the public?
Is council okay with that as a whole?
Okay.
I'll make the motion that we open up for public comments for the chickens. Can't believe I said that.
I did.
Anyone want to second that motion?
You made the, what was it? You made the motion? I didn't
Jack,
get
she
it.
did. She went to it.
I made a motion to open up public comment for the,
I'll second.
Oh, there's a second now.
No.
Norma seconded it.
Do we need a full vote, or can that?
I think you could just do it under the rules, right? You have that power.
Yes. Okay, I saw one hand in particular. Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Please,
Thank you for hearing me.
sign in, state your name, please.
My name is Jay Schoss, and I live on Coosa Trail in Country Lakes. I'd just like to make a couple of points. I'm a recent resident. I just moved in 3 years ago, and we have chickens on both sides of us behind us, and the roosters are definitely noisy. Right now, there seems to be only one rooster in the neighborhood, and it starts letting itself be known in the summertime at around 4:30 in the morning, and even in the dead of winter, certainly by 8. I and my friend who lives with me are retired, and sometimes we want to sleep late. So it is a nuisance in to that extent. Another problem with the chickens is that I don't believe that a quarter-acre lot is sufficient to have chickens in the middle of a densely packed neighborhood of quarter-acre lots. I've got a half an acre. The other chicken owner has, I believe, a half an acre, but nobody in that area has a full acre. I have another question that I don't know whether we can go into today, but raising chickens on any size lot leads to chicken waste in one form or another. I don't know if there's a hazard having large numbers of chickens, if you might have that under the ordinance, near lakes, as far as runoff, surface runoff, or filtration into the subsoil and into the water table. I've got a lake on both sides of my property, pretty much within 100 yards. That's basically all I have to say.
Right, and the way the ordinance reads, in order to have any type of farm animal, you would have to have at least an acre of property.
Right.
So unless there's an acre of property right next to the lake, which you just said you have a half acre.
I'm a block from the lake.
Okay, so
I don't want to have chickens.
Right, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I understand.
I don't think, number one, that it makes sense to have chickens in such a densely populated area.
Right.
And the other thing is, I believe the current ordinance states you can't have it in a residential neighborhood at all. Is that correct? You must have
Less than an acre.
And not be...
Yeah, you have to have an acre or more.
You have to have an acre or more,
more.
but it can be in a residential area.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It doesn't stipulate.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Branches over behind us.
Play the kid card. I just say no.
Hi, Suzanne, and we are the ones that presented the ordinance. I'm here with Liliana.
Yes.
I definitely understand what you're saying, but I think that Lily presented very, very good
She did.
points. However, you do have to have enforcement, and that's also understood. Jack made good points about having some sort of fee, for these, or to have the chickens and to have, be subject to inspections, which is also definitely understandable, and it's something that us personally as a family would be willing to do, because we wouldn't be willing to have things that caused a problem for our neighbors. As far as Mrs. Trueblood, turkey buzzards do not stalk live animals. They strictly eat dead things, so just rest assured, they're not after your dog.
I saw them doing that squirrel and they frightened me. So I understand.
Yes,
Thank
they'll
you.
definitely
Thank
go
you.
after dead things, but never your little
Thank
baby.
you for that.
The hawks are
And
supposed to be
as far as like hawks and coyotes, listening to that, yes, that definitely may increase. However, it's been my experience that if the chickens are kept in a penned area and not allowed to free range, then yeah, you shouldn't really have too much of a problem. As far as smell, as Lily stated, if the chickens are kept well maintained, and if there's any complaints of smell or anything, the code enforcement officials should go out and issue proper violations. Definitely understand your points, but I just wanted to reiterate that. Lily, do you want to say anything else? No? Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lillian, you have 10 years, you'll be 18 years old, then you can run for office and sit up here and make the laws, okay?
She looked up like, can I, Mom? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, so
Closing that.
yeah, we'll close it. It sounds like no one
I was the only one considering it by the sounds of it. So.
Well, we all considered it, because we all thought through the process, but it doesn't sound like we'd like any changes to the current ordinance. Reports and communications filed with the clerk. Engineer's report. If there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion to accept the report.
I thought we determined that we don't need motions last week.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask him a question?
We're still working on the agenda, so, and it's not under, oh, no.
I had mentioned it a couple months ago when I was first come up here, sitting up here, that I was out talking to a lot of the residents, and one of the big concerns in the town is drainage. And I talked to a lot of the folks, and they showed me what they were talking about, and there are some issues out there with drainage. And one thing I was kind of thinking, and I do a lot of thinking, it's not always good, but I do a lot of thinking. You look at some of the new construction, and like over where I live, over towards Magnolia Road, where they just did that jug handle around Burger King and stuff. They have that nice, you don't know the name of it. They'll have the place where the runoff is and stuff. Is there places in town where we could come up with something like that to take some of the runoff from the roads and develop those kind of areas?
We understand and know of a lot of drainage issues in the township. What we do is we do address them on a case-by-case basis with Public Works, and we do a situation where we do use underground detention, underground recharge, wherever we can, wherever it's feasible. We also have an issue where we always need, most of the time, we need Pinelands approvals for different things, and our hands are somewhat tied with respect to certain facilities, and sometimes it's a very lengthy and costly process to, get some of these facilities approved. Detention basins always need an outlet, a positive outlet. And that is always an issue of concern with Pinelands, because they will not let you connect directly to a lake and certain other water bodies, so that's always an issue. So it's a little difficult at times to prepare a master plan for a township such as Pemberton, because there are a lot of restrictions with respect to what we do. So we look at them on a case-by-case basis with administration, with Public Works, and try to address them. It's a detailed process, and we're trying to make good on all of them. All I can say is if there's a specific one that needs to be looked at, we can certainly go through administration. And we have made in our 2015 road program a number of improvements that address some of those issues.
And a lot of these places are residential where there's already buildings and stuff like that. So you can't
Over in Rhode Island, we know the
that
road floods, so we're taking care of Rhode Island. So like I said, we do it on a case-by-case basis in conjunction with our road programs.
But there are areas, and I think you just touched on it, like out in Presidential Lakes. And I remember when I actually had a real job and had to go to work every day. I used to work out in Mount Laurel off of Briggs Road, and some of those facilities out there, a lot of times when they're building new buildings, they're putting ponds and stuff like that out there, and it helps with fire suppression and stuff like that as well. And I'm kind of, like I said, just thinking off the top of my head, when you see somewhere like Presidential Lakes in town, where they have to pull water from the lakes for fire activities and stuff like that, something like that could be beneficial in a few different ways, not only drainage, but then for fire suppression and stuff as well.
Yeah, and also of concern, and even DEP is getting away from the issue of retention basins, which do not have a positive outlet.
Right.
And of course, some of the concerns are as the water heats up, could possibly be mosquito breeding, the level drops low, you have just a situation where no grass will grow. So those are problematic and needs a lot of maintenance as well. So we try and stay away from those types of facilities. And unfortunately, again, some of those areas that you're referring to, there is no place to take the stormwater in a positive way, in an outlet, other than maybe recharge into the ground. And we do have high groundwater in a lot of places in town.
Right. Well, you said you were here. I thought I'd throw it out there for you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mirror Lake Dam inspection report. I see that we're still waiting on feedback from DEP on this. I mean, we're almost a year into this now. Is this usual? I mean, I know the state government works very, very slow.